What if I told you there are gadgets that never need to be plugged in, never need a battery swap, and could, in theory, power themselves forever? Sounds impossible, right? Well, today, we're diving into Maxwell's bold claim of self-powered technology, and trust me, the results will absolutely blow your mind. James Clerk Maxwell, a name etched into the very foundations of modern physics. His equation predicted the existence of electromagnetic waves, paving the way for radio, radar, and even Wi-Fi. But what happens when those same principles are used not just to explain the universe, but to power technology without fuel or charging? Enter Maxwell's self-powered gadgets. From handheld devices that claim to draw energy from ambient fields to experimental tools said to harness electromagnetic resonance. These aren't just futuristic concepts. They're real prototypes we got our hands on, and today we're putting them through rigorous tests. We started with the simplest claim, a gadget that powers itself using nothing but surrounding electromagnetic radiation. Could it actually light up without a single battery inside? And the moment we flipped the switch, what happened left us speechless. The truth is, some of these gadgets work better than expected, pulling small but measurable amount of energy straight from the environment. Others, well, let's just say the results were more smoke than science. But here's the kicker. If perfected, these technologies could disrupt the very foundation of the energy industry. Imagine phones that never die, laptops that charge themselves, or even homes powered indefinitely without a single plug. So, are Maxwell's self-powered gadgets the dawn of a new energy revolution, or just another illusion dressed in scientific jargon? The tests we ran gave us answers, but also raised even bigger questions. Think about it. For centuries, humanity has relied on burning fuel, charging batteries, and building massive infrastructure just to keep the lights on. But what we witness in these tests hints at a different reality, one where energy is literally all around us, waiting to be captured. One device in particular stunned us. Designed to tap into what engineers call ambient electromagnetic resonance, it not only powered a light bulb, it managed to keep a fan running continuously for hours. No wires, no batteries, just pure environmental energy. Of course, the skeptic in us had to ask, is this really sustainable power or just a clever trick? Because throughout history, bold inventors have promised self-powered machines, only to fall short under scientific scrutiny. Yet, Maxwell's theories give these gadgets a unique foundation. Unlike perpetual motion fantasies, these devices attempt to harvest real, measurable energy from the world around us. And the deeper we tested, the more fascinating and controversial the results became. But here's where things took a shocking turn. During one late-night experiment, as we pushed the limits of one prototype, something unexpected happened. It didn't just power a bulb, it overloaded, sending out a pulse that knocked out our entire testing rig. And in that moment, we realized this isn't just about gadgets anymore. It's about unlocking a hidden layer of physics, one that could either change the future of energy or prove too unstable control. The lab went silent. The hum of machines stopped. For a brief moment, it felt as though the air itself had been drained of energy. We scrambled to check the instruments, expecting fried circuits or melted wires. But instead, something stranger appeared. The meters were still ticking, but not from any obvious source. It was as if the gadget had tapped into a field we couldn't fully explain, leaving behind a residual charge even after shutting down. This discovery forced us to ask, had Maxwell's equations hinted at something more than just electromagnetic waves? Could there be untapped layers of energy hidden in plain sight, woven into the very fabric of our environment? To verify, we brought in more advanced instruments, testing for stray signals, radio interference, even background cosmic radiation. But none of it matched what we recorded that night. And then, while running another prototype, a smaller, sleeker version, the unexpected happened again. This time, instead of overloading, the gadget stabilized. For nearly 48 hours straight, it powered a cluster of LEDs and a portable fan, with no external source whatsoever. This wasn't a trick. It wasn't stored charge. It was real, measurable energy, continuous and self-sustaining. If this holds true, we're staring at a discovery with world-changing implications. Imagine entire villages in remote Africa lit up without ever needing power lines. Imagine spacecraft powered indefinitely as they voyage through the stars. Imagine breaking free from the grid forever. But the longer we ran the test, the stranger became. The LEDs weren't just glowing. They started pulsing, almost as if syncing with an invisible rhythm. The fan, too, began spinning at irregular speeds, faster, then slower, then steady again, without us touching a single control. Our instruments picked up fluctuations we'd never seen before, peaks and valleys of energy that didn't match the local power grid, nor any known radio interference. It was like the device had tuned into a hidden broadcast, one we weren't supposed to hear. We cross-checked with databases, solar flares, geomagnetic activity, even cosmic background readings, but nothing lined up. Yet, the data streams kept coming, whispering through our instruments like an unsolved code. And here's the part that kept us awake that night. The pulses weren't random. They formed repeating sequences that looked eerily close to information. Was Maxwell's theory pointing not just to energy, but to a universal signal embedded in the fabric of space itself? Or had the gadget accidentally become a receiver for something far beyond our understanding? As the hours passed, the room felt charged, not just electrically, but emotionally. We knew what we were seeing didn't fit neatly into physics textbooks. This wasn't just an experiment anymore. It was the opening of a door. The sequences became harder to ignore. Every cycle revealed sharper patterns, like fragments of a code waiting to be cracked. Some pulses aligned perfectly with known frequencies of Earth's natural resonance, but others came from nowhere at all. When we slowed the signal down and converted the pulses into sound waves, something eerie happened. The lab filled with a faint rhythmic hum, not static, not noise, but a tone, steady, almost intentional. We had to ask ourselves, were we still testing a gadget, or had we stumbled into something else entirely? The device wasn't just harvesting energy anymore. It was listening, receiving, interacting with something far larger than itself. And then came the real shock. As if on cue, the device's pulses synced with the lab's clock, down to the second. Time itself seemed woven into the pattern. Think about that, a gadget built to draw power from invisible fields, suddenly aligning with the universal beat of time. Was it coincidence? A glitch? Or had we just brushed against a deeper law of nature, one that Maxwell himself only glimpsed in equations over a century ago? And the longer we stared at the data, the more one thought kept echoing in our minds. What if these devices aren't just about free energy, but about unlocking communication with the universe itself? The moment we considered that possibility, the atmosphere in the lab changed. Every flicker of the LEDs, every pulse on the screen suddenly felt alive, like the device wasn't just receiving energy, but responded to something or someone. We ran a quick test. We placed a simple hand over the gadget's antenna. Instantly, the pulses changed, slowing then quickening, as if reacting to our presence. The fan blades trembled, then spun faster, before settling back into rhythm. We began to record every fluctuation, converting the pulses into numbers. And what emerged was beyond coincidence. Repeating sequences, structured like binary code, not random static, not environmental interference, but something resembling language. At first, the sequences were short, broken, but the longer the device stayed active, the more complex they became, stretching into streams of information too ordered to dismiss. And here's where the unease set in. If this was language, who, or what, was speaking through the energy fields around us? Were we picking up signals of natural origin, or had the gadget unlocked a channel humanity had never tapped before? And if it was a channel, were we the listeners, or the ones being listened to? For days we monitored the device. The pulses continued, the sequences grew, until one final night, the pattern stopped changing. The data froze on a string of numbers, repeated over and over. It wasn't random. It wasn't noise. It was a signature, like a name written across the fabric of energy itself. When we decoded it, the message was simple. Just 3 repeating words, "We are here." Maybe it was interference. Maybe it was an echo of the Earth's own resonance. Or maybe it was something more. What began as a test of self-powered gadgets ended as a glimpse into a mystery we still can't explain. Maxwell's equations gave us the keys, but what we unlocked may be far bigger than free energy. And so, the question lingers. Did we simply harness a new form of power? Or did we stumble into the first contact humanity never expected? One thing is certain. After this, we can never look at energy or the universe the same way again. Because sometimes, when we search for power, we find something else watching back.